right, what's up, Seth, for everyone? Welcome to the Private BNB Formula Podcast. My name is Alex Jarbo, your host. I'm one of the coaches for the BNB Formula Coaching. Today we have an awesome episode for you guys. So today we have Leo Walton. He is the co-founder of Super Hog. How are you, Leo?
Very well, thanks, Alex. It's great to see you.
Great to see you too, man. So we usually just hop right into it. So let's just start with your background, how you founded Super Hog, and exactly what Super Hog is, because there's so many different moving parts to Super Hog is what I realized when we first talked. So I'd love for you to just dive a little bit deeper and your background and what exactly Super Hog does.
Sure. Alex, thanks for giving me the opportunity to talk. And you're right, there's lots to what we do. So it's important to kind of unpack it and unpick it slightly. So the business started about 7 years ago. And at that point, we were selling host insurance to property managers and direct hosts as, a look after your property while it's away and make sure you're insured. So that was Hog. That's how the business started. I joined in 2018, the end of 2018, when we started to build out the software that was going to be Super Hog, with an idea being that we wanted to create tools that would make the hosting experience safer, better, more efficient, more profitable for hosts and property managers. So that was the point that I entered the business and became one of the co-founders of Super Hog. My background, so I go back to the heady days of 2012 in the UK, before we'd even ever uttered the words Brexit or anything awful like that. That seemed like a nightmare if you'd have believed that would happen. And I joined a company called One Fine Stay in the early days when they were prepping for the London 2012 Olympics. And I helped build out their check-in process, their meet and greet process for them, and then moved on to do commercial activity, which is where I met one of my co-founders, Humphrey. And what that taught me was that there was a huge appetite for this industry, huge appetite both on the host side to let out these amazing homes, and then also on the guest side. And really, there was a big opportunity to create technology that would allow the transaction to happen more smoothly. And that really is our focus with Super Hog. So we do a lot of things, which I know we'll unpick, but essentially our guiding principle is we want to make it safer for these two groups to transact in the short-term rental space.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. When we first started talking, like I said, I didn't realize what exactly Super Hog. We were introduced by a mutual friend, but I didn't realize sort of the depth of what Super Hog can do compared to if you're an owner, subleasing, or everything in between doing rental arbitrage. So let's just start with that. Let's talk about the different services that Super Hog offers from just the top down.
Yeah, and it's a really good point to mention the different types of hosts, because you're exactly right.
Yeah.
Some people own and manage half a dozen listings.
Some of them are managers. Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, maybe you have 500 listings, but you actually do a very light touch management. There's so many different ways to host. Each of them needs to be sort of have a product that caters for them, and that's what we try and do. So we try and segment, and we have a lot of direct customers and a lot of large property management customers as well. And the core products that we sell to them are guest screening, which can include ID capture, damage waiver and deposit financial remittance, and then our Super Hog protection, which is a $5 million guarantee against guest damage to properties. So I'll go through those points one by one. The most important part of what we do is the screening. So if you want us to protect you and do more work for you, the thing you need to do is get our screening product, because that is the bread and butter of what we do. We have the ability to read whether somebody is providing us with a genuine email address that's linked to them. So we can see whether there's social media attached to it, how old it is, whether they have a mobile phone that's deliverable and linked to them, and whether it links to the email, where their IP address is. So if they're telling us they're browsing for a home in Boston, and it looks like their IP address is around the corner in Boston, it might imply that it's someone booking it for a party. So we can tell all that stuff. We have a way of checking whether the information they're using has been used somewhere else for fraud, somewhere else on the internet. And we also have a way of checking against our own database to make sure that there's no history of damage, criminality, fraudulent bookings that have occurred on our watch that we're aware of. So this screening technology pulls in external data sources and internal data sources. In fact, case in point, in Arizona, they've just mandated that all lead guests need to go through a sex offender registry check. So we've done that integration, we pulled that in there. So by asking guests to provide you with name, email, phone number, date of birth, and home address, you can tell a lot about them straight away. And at that point, if we see that someone's using fraudulent information that's been used before somewhere else, we can tell the host to cancel the booking. And that's really, really important. So it's that first. If you can put screening technology at the front end of your booking process, you will save $1 at the other end, undoubtedly, because you stop the fraudulent chargeback people who have come with the intention of using a stolen credit card. They won't want to go through a screening process. Makes taking direct bookings safer, because again, you're giving yourself an extra way of checking people's credit card details if you use our damage waiver and deposit, which I'll go on to. And ultimately, you're just getting ahead of it. You're getting ahead of the problem. If you don't screen your guests, you're basically saying, I know something's going to go wrong at some point. There's nothing I can do about it. There is. You can ask those questions during the process and screen them. And that happens in a number of ways, but mostly through an integration with the host property management software. We'll be able to send out, we'll get the data from the guest to be able to send out links for them to start that verification process on our system. But because Super Hog should always be a background player, it's your host's journey, it's their booking, it's their revenue, it's their business. We put the host's logo into those journeys. So Super Hog's very much in the background. When we send an email, it looks like it's coming from the host, not from Super Hog.
How do you guys integrate Super Hog? Is it integrated through the PMS, or how does, so like say if we're just speaking a direct booking site, so not even Airbnb VRBO, say like you have your own site or whatever, or say you just have your own PMS and it's on Airbnb VRBO. How do you guys integrate Super Hog into that? Is it a link? Is it your team? What does that look like?
It's a good question.
Yeah.
So the PMS is usually the central funnel for most hosts and property managers. And as you know, Alex, there's many different PMSs depending on how many properties you have. So there's a PMS out there for the host with one listing and one with 500. So the key to our growth has been the integrations we have with those partners. And that allows us to pull data, which will be guest name, email, phone number, so that we can automatically send out the verification links to them and redirect them to our landing page, which is white labeled, and property manager and host branding is put on it, and ours is not on there. But it's a redirect. So, the guest gets an alert from us saying, now it's time to verify. And our hosts, clients, put information about the fact that that's going to happen on their listings and on their emails, so the guest knows it's coming. Or if they're not using a PMS, you can embed a link into your email comms that you send out. So if you've just got a direct booking website, you're not using a PMS, you just put a trigger in your emails that sends out a link to say, now it's time to verify and pay your security deposit. And that starts the process. And that puts them in our environment that's branded with the property manager's logo. And again, at this point, you're capturing some really good data from them and able to tell a lot about them before they've arrived, which is clearly the way that we reduce things like fraud, criminal bookings, even people booking homes and telling you it's a holiday, but really it's a wedding, and trashing and things like that.
That's happened to me twice. Yeah.
Has it? You hear that twice?
Yeah.
That's
yeah. It happened through an OTA. Yeah.
It's a nightmare. But all this stuff is it's designed to catch those people and also deter people who might otherwise think, well, there's no harm in this. I've just given my email and away I go. Right. If I get banned, I'll just use a new email on the booking channel and no one will know. This is like a real deep dive, because if they're trying to use an email that they don't have social media attached to and that isn't in their name and it is brand new, it won't work. Same with a mobile phone. It's got to be registered to them. And then if you want, at that point, for our clients, we can also add on the ID screening too, which is useful. So all of this stuff is the data capture part. Clearly, we see the benefit of that as being that we can screen out bad guests. Also, though, it's a really good opportunity for you as a property manager to start the process of bonding with your guests. You've got a mobile, you've got an email, you can reach out to them, ask them if they're looking forward to their stay, start making contact with them, or just bank that email and use it in your email list when you're retargeting people for your direct booking website later. I'll park that for now. Then the second product, which is our most popular product by far, is our damage waiver and deposit product. The next screen the guest hits, they're given the option between paying either, say, a fixed amount of $500, but getting that money back after an agreed upon time after the checkout, or paying a non-refundable fee of, say, $50, so that they don't have any liability if they damage anything accidentally, up to $500. Really, really useful product. If you give the guest the option between paying a non-refundable fee of, say, $50 versus putting $500 on their credit card for 2 weeks, 80% of the time, our data would suggest they'll choose the deposit waiver. And then you, as a property manager, bank 90% of that. We keep 10 as a handling fee. You bank 90% of that, and you collect that on every single booking, so that any damages that happen, you've got a fund ready to pay for them.
So do you, are you guys able to integrate that even if, say, I will say that most of the students that are listening don't have a direct booking site. I guarantee most of them are going to go towards that route, or eventually going to go towards that route, if they actually are serious about their business and have more than like 3 to 5 listings. But say for the students that are listening that are just on the OTAs, and for people who don't know what OTA means, online travel agency, like Airbnb, VRBO, Booking.com, Expedia, and whatnot. So let's just take Airbnb. Do you guys work with people who have properties, either subleasing or whatnot, that are just, say, on one channel like Airbnb? Would that work for someone who's just on Airbnb?
It would, and most of our clients are just on the OTAs. And even if they have a direct booking website, it doesn't get much traffic because the OTAs are so powerful. And our comms that go out to the guests are only triggered after the booking is confirmed. So it doesn't matter what booking channel or what direct booking website it's happened, where it's happened. The guest gets the alert from us, it looks like it's from the property manager, but from us after that booking has been confirmed, because we get that data from a PMS, or they send out a link. So then what that means is, no matter where your bookings come from, you're able to put that guest through the same process. So if you really want to collect $500 from each guest, this is a good way to do it, because you know that everyone's going to hit that same process. And if you really want to pay a $50 damage waiver, it means you have a mechanism for doing that, and you'll be able to collect on every single booking, no matter where it comes from. And the way the product's designed is that you're going to make a lot more money than you ever need to pay out on it. That's the key here. None of our clients lose money on this. You make money on it, so that you've got a fund if the worst does happen.
And you are protected you are protected at the end of the day while increasing your revenue.
Right.
And it's one of those things where a guest, for the most part, understands that it's a $50 non-refundable, blah blah blah. Yeah, no, that's very interesting. You're one of the few you are the only company I've ever heard that does something like that in terms of the short-term rentals, Airbnb and VRBO and whatnot. So based off that, so one of the things that you guys offer that we haven't talked about yet is, and you hinted at it briefly, is a $5 million guarantee. So if you wouldn't mind talking about exactly what that $5 million guarantee is.
Sure. Yeah, you're quite right. So we focused on the small damages, right? Where you choose the waiver or deposit. That covers you up to $500. Your max liability is going to be $500. You're collecting on every single booking. When it gets serious, though, and above that, you really do need a guarantee in place to make sure that you're not left with some serious damage that you haven't budgeted for in your business. And that is what the Super Hog guarantee is designed to do. It's not a replacement for home insurance. Every property still needs to be protected at the back by a home insurance or a landlord policy, because clearly you don't have guests in there every day of the year, and you might have tradesmen and cleaners in there, and you still need to be covered for liabilities that can occur. But Super Hog is a really, really, really cost-effective way of supplementing a very typical home insurance or landlord insurance policy. So you don't need a provision for damages that an STR guest might do, because that's what Super Hog is designed to do. And it's a much more cost-effective way of doing it effectively. So we take on the risk for any actions that a guest might do when they're in the property that lead to serious damage, theft, fire, and that's up to $5 million, right? So, and that's on a per booking basis. So that rebuilds you a lot of house. Doesn't matter, there's no cap on what the home is worth. It could be a $30 million house. There's no cap on home value, but we will pay out $5 million to losses that occur caused by a guest. And the reason why that's important is because there's lots of people out there who'll try and sell you a short-term rental and home insurance policy in one, you're going to end up paying for a lot of things you don't need. Here, it's about $8 to $10 of booking. That's it. And that gives you everything you need on the per booking basis. And then the guest walks out and you're back on your own typical normal home insurance policy.
Yeah, and for everyone who's listening to that, in the past, I've never been a fan of per booking, like $8 to $10 per booking, but like the last year, I mean, if you break that down, most of the time, even if you're taking 1 day bookings, you're probably getting anywhere between 9 to 15 bookings a month. So you're looking at a maximum of maybe $150 a month maximum, compared to if you were to go out and try to get a similar policy like this, it would cost way more than that. And I've looked at some of these numbers. So let me ask you this. So hopping back to the OTAs and the Airbnb, what would you say is one of the biggest differences between, say, like Airbnb's $3 million guarantee and this $5 million guarantee? Because we had talked about it briefly last time we had talked, and there are some significant differences between the two.
Yeah. So obviously, it's good. It's good that Airbnb do anything for hosts, right? It's good. I mean, it's cursory, but it's it's a step in the right direction, effectively. But ultimately, Airbnb's primary concern is the guest, right? So they never want to have that difficult conversation with a guest. Very often we can sort things out directly for you by contacting your guest and saying to them, look, you got carried away, you had a party. Remember, Super Hog screened you. So if you try and book somewhere else in the world, you might just be told you can't stay because Super Hog have raised the flag. So it might be in your interest to pay for the damage you've caused. That happens regularly on a daily basis. People might get carried away. They didn't come with the intention of having a party. They got carried away. And you can then rely on them to come good because the fear of getting caught and not being able to stay somewhere else in the world is so strong. So in about 50% of cases, we're able to get guests to pay for their damage.
Which is huge. Yeah, because I've dealt with some of the Airbnb claims and I've had to do them myself. I've had to reach out to them, even though Airbnb had said that they would handle the correspondence. So
yeah, and that's the key difference. That's the key difference, right? So we're arbitrating for you. Huge. We're going to bat for you. We're getting you the reimbursement you need. Whereas Airbnb is always going to fall down on the side of the guest. Our whole business is risk management, so we encompass that whole piece. And a claim, anything you're dealing with in Airbnb, it might take months. For us, that's our whole business. So we're quick, we're efficient, we sort things out. And if we can't get you that resolution with the guest, we will pay you back directly.
Yeah, no, that's incredible. So let me ask you this: when it comes to someone coming to you guys wanting to use Super Hog for the different services that you talked about, what's one? I mean, you've probably already mentioned it, but I always like asking this question. What's one thing that you don't see enough of a feature in Super Hog, or a feature in Super Hog that you don't see enough users or your clients using? And it's a little bit of a weird question.
Yeah, no, it's a really good question, isn't it? I guess I'll reframe it slightly. I think like it's really fun, isn't it? Because people come to us for the $5 million guarantee, right? That's the headline.
Yeah.
But the most important thing we do is the screening. I can't emphasize that enough. So, the thing that I don't think people do enough with our business is utilize the email list they're getting. That's for starters. So in terms of a feature in your Super Hog dashboard, you've now got this great list of warm, engaged customers. Use them, nurture them, look after them, make sure.
Absolutely. Yeah. That's one thing. That's interrupt you real quick. That's one thing that I've talked about almost exclusively on this podcast is it's very difficult. Almost every business is run on reoccurring business or referral business, either reoccurring or referral. And for you to try and go out and trying to find a new guest for your property every single time you need a booking, that's difficult. Like say like someone had a good experience with you this year, they're probably going to travel either to the location next year or say 2 years from now. Why wouldn't they want to stay at your property? But the issue is you're not staying top of mind. So that's one thing that I've harped on a lot is just staying top of mind through an email list if you're a short-term rental host, which is starting to get some traction in the last couple of years. So
you're totally right, Alex. It's you're not top of mind. Yeah. So you just need to pepper people slowly, don't you? And gradually through the year. And ultimately that feature of putting your logo inside our white label journey. Like no one thinks about that when we first start talking to people. They're like, oh great, I can make money from the damage waiver that will protect me. The $5 million guarantee is fantastic, great. But there's that additional feature of being able to showcase your brand. It's so powerful. We have an office in Barcelona. I was just there last week. It's something you have to do when you go and stay in Barcelona. I did it, and the property manager had done just that. And so I can tell you, I won't name drop, but I can tell you the name of the suite, the name of the company that I stayed with in Barcelona. And too often in our industry, it's I heard it described once as a marketing guy, by a marketing guy, and I really like this, that it's like when people go and do a skydive. They go, they have the most amazing day, beautiful location, take great photos, come back, and they all say to their friends, you should do a skydive. I went to Australia, I did a skydive. You should do a skydive. But if you ask them what company they used, they couldn't tell you.
Right.
And whereas I can tell you now the name of this company in Barcelona because they put me on their journey, and I was like, okay, right, okay, I need to do this. And now if I was staying in that area again, because we had a great time, I would just probably go direct. And that's massive, and that's massive. So it's just that it's that nodding to your brand in different places. It's not why people come to us, but it's a really good use of our journey.
Yeah, no, that's awesome, man. So that was essentially all the questions I had for you in terms of just your different services and whatnot. Like I said, I mean, this is something I'm going to be integrating into my business here really soon because I've just recently discovered Super Hog in the last 2-3 weeks. But why don't you end with where can people find you? Where can people find Super Hog if they're looking to engage your guys' services?
Yeah, thanks, Alex. That's great. So we are at www.knowyourguest.superhog.com.
And we'll put that in the description below as well.
There'll also be a link, I'm sure, in the description. Also, find me on Instagram, superhog_Leo, or send me an email, leo@superhog.com, and I'll put you through to one of our team.
Yeah, putting the email out there too. I love it. Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
If I get spammed, it might be a massive mistake, but please feel free to contact me.
Awesome, man. Do you want to leave the students with anything else in regards to what your company does or anything?
Do you know what? I think honestly, I think I've said it all. Like we're here to promote your brand as much as we can and make sure that you facilitate safe check-ins at all moments, because let's be honest, the vast majority of guests are good guests and just want to have a good holiday. So that's what we're here to do.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks for hopping on, and I will see everyone on the next episode. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.